Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're going to continue our reading of Tafseer As Sa'di, Volume 1, Juz 3, and we're on ayat number 254. Let's begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. O you who believe, spend from that which we have provided for you, before the day comes when there will be no bargaining, no friendship, and no intercession. It is the disbelievers who are the wrongdoers. Now we're going to get into it, but here, spend from that which has been given to you in your monetary wealth. Think about that. No hoarding or miserliness. We're not trolls with hoards of wealth. We're not dragons on top of mountains of gold. By His kindness towards His slaves, Allah commands them to give some of that which He has provided them with, in the form of obligatory and recommended charity, so that it may be stored up as abundant reward for a day when those who strive hard will need every last little good deed, and when there will be no room for bargaining. And if a person were to offer an earth full of gold to ransom himself from punishment on the day of resurrection, it would not be accepted from him, and no friend, no status, and no intercession will be benefit to him. Key point here. This is essential to me, because today there's a lot of penny pinching. A lot of penny pinching. I think when you tip people, it's a good thing. But I do notice more and more now there's viciousness and why should I tip? Why should I do that? And it's like, tipping isn't exactly charity, but it is a nice deed, right? The person who, tipping your cab driver well, tipping the barista well, the server, the busboy. These are things that help spread wealth around, and you can't take it all with you. One of the Rothschilds, he just passed away. I believe he died as a non-Muslim, but that guy got a wicked history. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't even live as old as the Queen of England. So, being a sort of miserless, money-grubbing busybody, it's not gonna really help you. So, don't discount every little act of charity, right? Like, there are some homeless people, you'll give them $5, they expect 20. There are demanding beggars who feel they're entitled to more. And you're like, I'll go to give to someone who's actually grateful. So here, we are recommended to do obligatory sadaqah and zakah, right? Charities. Ramadan is coming up, so this is important, and be very cautious of who you give to. Beware of trending charities. There's nothing wrong with you giving to a charity that, okay, so you give some to your family. We learned that, like, there's charity you can give to your family, and then, because you're closest of kin, then to your community, then to Muslims, but it's not haram to give charity to non-Muslims. Right? Let's say there's a baby in a hospital who needs help paying the medical bill. Give, a little bit of charity. Every little bit helps. There's a reforestation program. You want to give some charity to that. There are so many examples of charity in this world that are great. Now, with the recent events in Gaza, you got to be very careful, because on the ground, we do see that area is controlled. Time and time again, you see people who run charity organizations siphoning off and money for themselves and not spending the money where it goes well. And we know how Allah will deal with those who spend the money of the orphans unlawfully, right? So, you don't have to feel guilty if you choose a domestic charity rather than a foreign one, or if you do your own personal charity and don't just give it up to an organization. You can go take a bag of food to the food bank and you don't know if that food will go to feed a Muslim or an atheist or whatever, but you're helping feed someone, right? So that's important. There's so many ways that you can give charity. So this other aspect as well is an earth full of gold to ransom yourself. Materialism is hot right now. It always has been, right? But I mean, today you got people who are overly entitled. They expect handouts, and then you have those who are like, I'm not giving you nothing. We have a balance as Muslims. We're not to be chronic beggars. We're to work for our daily bread, but we are also not to be stingy. That is the day of which the followers of falsehood will be losers, and the wrongdoers will be disgraced. So here we have justice. The wrongdoers will be disgraced. No one's going to escape Allah's will. So on earth you may have a wrongdoer who's living the high life, but that's not going to ransom you, right? They are the ones who acted inappropriately, failing to fulfill their obligations towards Allah and towards His slaves, and who transgress the limits of what is permissible, seeking that which is forbidden. The worst type of wrongdoing is disbelief in Allah. So here, we just learn another thing. We as Muslims have to get it through our head that disbelief in Allah is tragic. We can hope that someone is guided, but we should be mindful of the different values that person holds, right? It's fascinating when you analyze like Matt Dillahunty, who's a rabid atheist, who's good at debate form rhetoric and going around in circles and being a contrarian. And then you have Timothy Kirk, TJ the Amazing Atheist. He also has a way of just disagreeing to just disagree to make content. And both of them are very perverted, okay? And if you notice this trend of disbelief in Allah and then this sort of pervertedness that comes with atheism, because there isn't these set boundaries and it's a free-for-all, you can see how they don't have fear of their maker. They have a different sense of justice. And earthly justice is anything but justice. It rarely happens anymore. In fact, there is too much corruption in the judiciary and legislative branches to think that humans are sufficient in carrying out retribution. So when we have belief in Allah, we know that the wrongdoers are going to be held accountable. We have that assuredness. We are not filled with doubts. So we have a bit of peace. Whereas the atheists, they believe that you can avoid earthly justice by simply avoiding the law. We don't think that. The brain that says I can do whatever I want as long as I don't get caught, and the brain that says everything I do is recorded, it's quite different. Who is the only one who should be worshipped? But the disbeliever directed his worship to a created being like himself. Hence Allah Azza says, it is the disbelievers who are the wrongdoers. That is, they are the ones who are proven to be wrongdoers in the fullest sense of the word. As Allah Azza says elsewhere, for associating others in worship with Him is indeed grievous wrongdoing. Luqman 31:13. So notice here, they worship what is created, a being like themselves. Scientists, lab coats. You see this in it's a new era of seeing the corruption right in your face. Right? Now, here's the funny thing. We'll say lab coats are corrupt. Atheists will say, well, the system of science, they will fact check those people and debunk them. Therefore, the science, pure science, is always going to be, self-cleansing. We as Muslims, the atheists will say, look at that Muslim doing bad. We'll say, well, they're not following the Sharia, they're not following the Sunnah, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They'll say, no true Scotsman fallacy. That is a Muslim, and they represent Islam by their bad actions. But we say, no, but look here, this is what we have, we're different. Okay? They'll say, no. That's proof of your religion. And when we point out that scientists are saying a man who has been pumped full of chemicals trying to pretend to be a woman is breastfeeding, using a newborn as a fetish prop in his perversion, and the scientists are saying that disgusting toxic fluid that comes out of the man's chest is the same as a woman's breast milk, you then begin to see that no, atheistic scientists can be some of the most dishonest and dangerous people in the world. That's more dangerous than terrorism, because they're allowing wickedness to use children, a baby, that the lab coat has no desire to protect the baby, and has written articles. I shared it on the community tab. The fact that someone would allow a newborn to be used in such an experiment when they know that it's perverted and wrong, and that the mentally ill man who's lost and should be in an asylum should not be allowed to touch such a child, let alone for the child to be used in such a sick, perverted way. But that is the morality of the atheistic lab coat. That's their religion. That's who they are. That's their morality. They see these lab coats as more than a saint. They can't be questioned, and they have to be allowed to do anything they want in the name of science. Like Fauci, he had beagles who were laid down, and these type of carnivorous flies were eating at the face of the beagles while they were alive. So, vivisection, a lot of very cruel animal experience. Elon Musk was also testing his Neuralink brain chip on apes before humans. And you can see, like, they'll do a lot in the name of science. So their barbarity is called progressive. But if a Muslim says, hey, maybe we should have the death penalty for adultery, oh, you barbarians, you barbaric people, but then you see what they do to animals in science, and how they use children for science. There's so many examples, okay? YouTube doesn't allow us to state them all, because YouTube is part of Google, and Google is a political organization. It's not neutral. It's woke and left-wing. Just look at their Google AI Gemini thing that they did, and how it's very against pale people and very woke. So we should remember here that we can use our money to help Muslims become better and stronger, and that if you're buying books for someone, you're contributing to a Muslim school being built. You're helping someone start a farm. These are all good things to do that help the Muslim community become a parallel society and stronger, and a refuge for those who see that the atheistic worldview, where they worship their own brains and worship these lab coats, is not the way. Now, there are good doctors, there are good scientists, don't get me wrong, but the institution is atheistic, and they have written their own philosophy. It used to be do no harm. Now it's, okay, pay us and we'll make you think you are something that you are not, and we'll give you a perpetual wound that you have to dilate, a rot pocket, and you'll be a customer for life. That's their ethic. So we have our system. We fear Allah. We know we'll be judged. And so we're doing good by believing in Allah. So when it says here, the scholar writes, the worst type of wrongdoing is disbelief in Allah. What wrongdoing things people do when they don't believe in divine justice? Really think about that. If you're fearful of your Maker, and you think about the fire and brimstone, you think about the torment, and you remember that there are limits of what you're allowed to do, you will stop yourself. But without God, anything is permissible, because you're looking to other humans to tell you what to do. Think about that. Okay? Really analyze that. This is why the atheist is so arrogant. And a lot of them are very broken individuals. People will tell Muslims, oh, look at all these reverts going to Islam. They all come from traumatic backgrounds. But then you see the atheists there, they're very deeply perverted. And they overly trust the experts, right? So much could be said. But with the little nuggets I give you, let your mind flow and you can discover for yourself. But just remember, when you're giving obligatory charity and the recommended charity, you're doing a good deed. And make sure that your money goes where it's supposed to. Because you cannot ransom yourself. So if you're doing unethical things in order to get that cash, get that bag, it's not going to help you on the day where all you have there is your deeds. And everything is recorded. Think about that. You can't escape your own record. It's there right in front of you. It's one way or another. It's going to be laid bare. So do good. If you don't get recognized for the good, you know that you can be saved by this. You have hope in Allah that you'll be saved, that you'll be spared, that the most merciful will allow you into paradise for eternity. Think about that. Really examine it. Strive to do your best every day. And find charity that makes you feel the most fulfilled as well. There are a lot. And remember, I have a date is charity, smile charity, kind word is charity, financial charity. There's so many things you can do. So many things. Forgiving a debt, all that. So much. Literally so much you can do. Have hope, okay? You can't bargain your way out of the predicament you put yourself in. Okay? So the disbelievers are the wrongdoers. And Muslims should be mindful not to be doing wrong either. Try our best. May Allah guide us and preserve us. I hope you learned something. I know I did. Reminder, this is Al-Baqarah 254. By the way, I'm still fundraising for my book holder and the wooden panel. And I'm like a quarter weight there, right? So basically need 500 for both of those handmade things, and I got about 90 something. So I'm kind of there, but not really. But if you'd like to donate towards that and also see exclusive stuff that I write on the blog, you can go ahead and join at www.subscribestar.com/Milahan Archive. Hope to see you there. Take care.